included in that count one. Take a look, because you've got to go through all these charges to understand what this jury did. So first-degree premeditated murder, right? He planned to kill her. That was his entire modus operandi here. No, guilty of the lesser included criminally negligent homicide after the testimony that we heard? Wow. Count 2, first-degree felony murder in the perpetration of rape, guilty. Okay, thank you. Count 3, first-degree felony murder and perpetration of kidnapping, guilty. Got it. Though that's important because of what happened in count 1. Count 2 and 3, extremely important here. Count 4, aggravated rape, guilty of the lesser included attempted aggravated rape. Huh? Count 5, aggravated rape with bodily injury, not guilty. Wait, wasn't she abducted? Wasn't she chained up? Weren't there marks on her neck from being strangled? Wow. Wow. What does this jury believe happened here? Like, who was the one determining what happened here? This is amazing. Like, it's not a win. Trust, it's not a win for the defendant, but it's a little confused. It's a little nuanced here in what they believe happened inside that home over the course of days as the victim was chained up, unable to leave. All right, we've got more. Where was I? Count 4, count 5, not guilty. Count 6, guilty aggravated rape. Count 7, aggravated kidnapping, guilty. Those are the ones you need for the counts 3 and 4, for counts 2 and 3. Count 8, especially aggravated kidnapping using a deadly weapon, guilty. Okay. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, not guilty. Count 10, conspiracy to commit aggravated rape, guilty. Count 11, conspiracy to commit aggravated kidnapping, guilty. And count 13, tampering with evidence, guilty. Okay. I want to remind you of the testimony they heard from Rebecca Dishman, because are they believing everything that she said in this case? Because there are not guilties in here. Take a listen as she describes how the victim died in this case.
Did she ever tell Mr. Finnegan she needed to leave or wanted to leave?
Yes.
What was his reaction?
He told her that as he was killing her that she wasn't going anywhere, that she was going to die.
So when you say he said told her you're going to die?
Yes.
What did she do?
She started crying.
And what did he do?
He just kicked her and spat on her. And he was straddled over her, strangling her with a shoestring, and told me to help him. And I just shut down and sat on the bed and just gave up, essentially.
How long did this go on?
For hours.
Could you describe for us specifically what was going on in the course, if you say this was hours?
He would start and stop, like take breaks in between. She was taking her last breath, and I got on my hands and knees and told her goodbye because I knew she was dying. And he came back inside and slapped me across the face.
Prosecutor Al Wunsch III, also with us in Stamford, Connecticut, criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. Al, trying to understand what this jury is saying with this not guilty to first-degree premeditated murder, but guilty of the lesser included criminally negligent homicide? They heard that testimony I just played.
Well, you know what? Kudos to defense counsel. Defense counsel was portraying her as the impetus to this, as the person that was setting all this up, as the person that did this, and they were able to sway some of the jury. I mean, criminally negligent homicide means you're causing death by reckless or some sort of careless behavior or things along those lines. I mean, I think it's a bizarre finding, but I got to give credit, and we always have to give credit to defense counsel, who takes a case like this, which has got really nowhere to move, and is able to find something to hang a hat on. And they did. I gotta, I mean, we need to salute defense counsel that take cases like this, because
okay,
this is
yes, I get it. We'll salute them. Here's a salute for doing their job. I get it. But I'm trying to understand how the jury got here. Were they bamboozled? Darnell, were they bamboozled? Did they watch a different trial than me? How is this negligent homicide?
Yeah, well, the funny part about it is that, if we had any doubts that Al was a bleeding heart liberal, is tonight with all those gun salutes to these defense attorneys. I think what you have here is the jury who get the jury instructions, and sometimes they would do what they call jury nullification. They would say, although the instruction says, like a jigsaw puzzle, in order to find this, you have to find this, they would just move that to the side sometime and say, this was so heinous and so gross of a murder that we're just going to go ahead and find this guy guilty of premeditation. But what happens when the prosecution does these deals, the whole system is a plea deal system. So they pled this other young lady out, and then they gave, as Al was saluting to, they gave the defense an opportunity to say, well, she has immunity. She's already pled out. Let's just hang it all on her. And the jury then looks at the instructions and says, well, your behavior was so negligent that the homicide that flowed from your behavior or your participation, we can get you on that. But if she was the one that was thinking this and putting this together, you should not have participated, and you did, so we have to hang you with this. And that's probably because they did a strict reading of the law, and the prosecution let somebody out by giving this lady a deal. Sometimes they should do no deals. You guys are former prosecutors. Do no deals. Put them both on trial and prove your case.
Jennifer Brandt, I'm trying to understand in what world and how they get to negligence here. And I understand there's other counts, felony murder they found. So, yes, there's still going to be a penalty phase here. I get it. But I don't understand how negligence, like, oops, I put the string around your neck and killed you over the course of hours after telling you that you're not leaving. So I guess they didn't believe Rebecca Dishman?
No, I think that they believed, yes, I don't think they believed Rebecca Dishman. I think they believed that Rebecca Dishman was a greater participant in this and perhaps was the impetus behind all of this and was the person who actually killed this woman as opposed to Sean Finnegan. And I agree with Darnell. I'm troubled by the fact that she got a deal and he didn't. And now it's, now we're saying put it all on him, but we know that she was very much involved. She was there the whole time. He's saying that, it was her idea. She was the one that was left alone with the victim more than him. He went to work, that kind of thing. So it gives the jury an ability to give him an out. Although I really don't understand, hearing the facts of this case, how either of them should not have the death penalty. So it is so disturbing and so horrific.
I want to take a listen to more of Rebecca Dishman, Al, because she described a lot of conduct here, or alleged conduct, by Sean Finnegan. Let's take a listen.
He was disgrading her. He ripped her pants down and was screaming at her and said...
Need you to speak up some more, a little louder, okay? A little closer to the microphone.
He said, "Why don't you shave?" And she started crying, and he just spat on her and was really aggressive towards her. He forced her to perform oral sex on him, and I was forced to watch.
And so forgive me for being very overt with this, but you say he forced her to perform oral sex. Could you tell us where his penis is?
He put his penis in her mouth and ripped her clothes.
And she's in the floor next to the bed?
Yes.
Where are you?
I was crouched beside him.
And how long did that continue?
Until he got angry and pulled my shirt down and made me finish.
And what do you mean by he made you finish?
He wasn't satisfied with her, and he made me perform oral on him.
Were there anything else that he did sexually at any point to Miss Paxton?
He forced my adult toys inside of her and forced his fingers on her and forced me to watch. And also, at one point, she was on the floor and he was behind me and he forced me to climax over her. I couldn't climax until he forced me to climax.
But that does mean
Yes.
that you were participating. And when you say he forced you to climax, what do you mean by that?
He physically, aggressively rubbed me until I climaxed.
Okay, so he is touching you while you're over her.
Yes.
If we have the picture of that. And what did he do at your climax?
She was revolted by it, and she said I was gonna throw up, and he slapped her across the face.
Okay, let's bring back in our think tank. Al, as it pertains to the rape, there's a mix of not guilty to aggravated rape with bodily injury, but also a guilty of aggravated rape, a guilty of aggravated kidnapping. So as you try to parse through what this all means, I think the one thing it means is that the jury took their job very seriously and didn't just across the board say, this guy's no good, he's guilty of everything. They took their job seriously and really went through each count of this indictment.
They absolutely did. I mean, they spent a tremendous amount of time considering. I mean, I would have thought this was one of those ones where you didn't even leave the jury box. You just kind of went, you know what, guilty on all counts. And they went through each one of these charges and they followed their instructions and they did what they were supposed to do. We can never fault a situation like that because this is what we want our jurors to do. We don't want them to be, just blindsided and say guilty across the board without doing what they're supposed to do, which is parsing the evidence, looking at everything, applying it to the law that they've been told and their instructions, and coming up with a verdict. They came up with the right verdict. I mean, ultimately, it's not going to matter. He's going away, and he could be going away big time as the penalty phase starts tomorrow.
All right, Think Tank staying with us. We've got more to talk about in this verdict tonight. And Rebecca Dishman, we're going to do that, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, Carly Gregg, a 14-year-old girl, is accused of shooting her mother to death and then inviting a friend over to see her dead mother's body. What happened inside that home?
don't let them base their entire case, which they have, on Rebecca Dishman and the fact that they're trying to tell you that she's incapable of lying. The fact that the DA just stood up here and said that Rebecca Dishman is incapable of lying should give you pause. That's a bold statement to make about their witness, isn't it? I mean, I've heard about bolstering witnesses, but my witness can't lie. Wow. So your first-degree murderer, rapist, kidnapper doesn't have the ability to lie.
That's Sean Finnegan's attorney in his closing argument, making a big point. Rebecca Dishman, I mean, they were a couple living in that house where Jennifer Paxton was abducted, raped, abused, murdered, mutilated, etc. So she got life. Now it's time for Sean Finnegan. What does he get? Does he get life or does he get death? Does he go to death row? I want you again to take a listen to Rebecca Dishman, because this verdict from the jury was mixed to a certain extent. Here she is talking about the beginning of her relationship with the defendant, Sean Finnegan.
I had met Sean on Facebook and decided to move in with him 2 weeks after meeting him. He convinced me.
So how did you feel about trying to move in with Sean?
At the beginning, I felt, comfort and safe.
Okay. Now, you said that he had convinced you to move in. Could you tell us about that, please?
Like, the first text that I recall is he was telling me that he wanted me to move in with him, that he wanted me to live with him and be his girl.
So what were things like when you moved in?
The first couple weeks were okay, and I went to go take a shower, and that was our first argument. He pushed me, and I ended up cutting my leg pretty bad, and that led to my first punishment. My ex had messaged me and was texting explicit messages, and it led to him getting angry with me and shoving me in the shower, which I cut my leg and fell.
Is that the only time something like that happened?
No.
Tell us about the next time you recall.
Later, when I got out of the shower, he told me that, he wasn't happy with me, and there was consequences to that. Like, I had to have sex with him, and he tied my hands to the bed and scratched me down my back and made me bleed.
Now, how would you consider the dynamic of your relationship? Who was in charge?
Sean.
And you had said you did something that made him unhappy.
Yes.
And that there were consequences. He told you there were consequences. Was that a normal part of your relationship with Sean Finnegan?
I didn't know that it would come to that extent. Like, I knew it would be kinky sex, but I didn't think it would be violent as it was.
Okay, how do we see these two? Are they co-deviants? Is he worse than her? She got life. Should he get death? I mean, should the system treat them differently? Darnell.
Well, I'm shaking my head because she's lying. She's straight lying. Now, rest in peace. I'm no Dr. Ruth, but Dr. Ruth told us all about sexual gratification and how to achieve it. And no one could force you to climax. In fact, under those conditions that she described, it's a mental thing that connects with climaxing. Al, you can sit this one out. So there's no possible way that she could have been forced to climax under those situations. So she's lying. Secondly, this prosecution is walking uphill, and I hate when they do this. they're making a deal with the devil, and they're asking stupid questions such as, can you describe the dynamics of your relationship? What is that about? And Flanagan's lawyer, he was on point when he said they're bolstering their witness, trying to make, chicken soup out of chicken, you know what. And basically what he's saying is Flanagan's guilty of sin, and so is she. And we can't believe they're trying to let this lady out. But they're doing the best they can on Flanagan's team. So, what I would say when you see this type of stuff is they should have put them both on trial and tried their case and stop with this deal making. It's ridiculous.
Okay. Jennifer Brandt, I want to show you testimony from someone who was not living in that house. Jennifer Miller, co-worker of Finnegan's. Here's what she testified to, and I want you to take this into consideration when we decide how should we deal with him versus her. Take a listen.
Did you ever have conversations with Mr. Finnegan about your personal lives?
Yes.
Could you tell us what he would tell you about his romantic involvements?
I knew that he had 2 girlfriends, Becky and Jenny.
Could you repeat those names, please?
I knew that he had 2 girlfriends named Becky and Jenny.
Okay. And what did he say about those individuals?
I can't think of anything specifically. I just know that we had talked about it, that they were both staying there with him.
Did y'all regularly talk about people he was dating, people others were dating?
Yes.
Is that normal conversation there in the bar with employees?
Yes.
So did you follow up with him about having multiple girlfriends?
I did. We kind of would joke about it, or I would. I would
Okay.
joke about him having 2 girlfriends.
And so did that situation stay the same?
He told me at one point that Jenny had to go.
Did you follow up on any questions about that?
No.
Jenny had to go. Does that change the way you see these two? Are they the same? Are they different? Are they different?
No, I don't think it changes my thought at all. I think Rebecca Dishman, and the more I hear from her, the more disturbed I am. I agree with Darnell and what he had to say about her. I mean, she's disgusting, and she was a very willing participant and maybe was the person that was behind all of this. I mean, because it sounded like she didn't do anything. She heard all of these things, saw all of these things happening. He kept Jennifer Paxton there for days, was slowly torturing her. And what did she do? She was right there with them. She was crouching down next to him. She was having sex. She was right there with him, doing everything, maybe even encouraging him. And maybe that's why the jury found that the way that they did. I mean, I agree. She shouldn't have gotten a deal. She is just as guilty as he, if not more. And if there was anybody there who could have saved Jennifer Paxton, she was the one. She could have called the authorities. She could have done something. She wasn't being held against her will. She was there willingly.
Al, I want to play you one more piece of her testimony. This was right towards the end of her on the stand. Take a listen.
Did you love him?
Yes.
Do you still love him?
Yes.
Were these punishments he did and the things you described as harsh or aggressive, did those continue for your whole relationship?
Yes. And they continue to get worse.
All right, Al, she still loves him.
Well, I just want to mention one thing about Darnell must have got really excited about all the things he was talking about regarding climax and stuff because he kept calling him Flanagan when the guy's name is Finnegan. So, Darnell, please calm down a little bit. And with regards to the fact that she said she still loves him, that's the jury's, that's the prosecution's nice little cherry on top of the sundae that they're trying to ram down the throats of this jury. That, oh, yes, she still loves him despite all of this. And it's coming across with that to try to show that she's actually being truthful with regards to this matter. And right down the line, the jury didn't buy it. Defense counsel pointed it out. And kudos again to the jury, parsing out what needed to be done and delivering justice in this case.
Okay, think tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about